Hello, investors. This is the Queen of Tax Deeds, Sandra Edmond, with your Tip Tuesday. Okay, so in here, check it out. This is the portal. If you've never gone into a real tax deed auction, this is pretty much what it looks like when you are placing a bid. And they give you multiple confirmations to make sure you don't make any mistakes. So this one here says, I am aware when the final payment is made. In addition to the sale amount, I must also pay a registry of court fee pursuant to section 28.24 Florida statutes. Don't worry about that. It's not that much money, and it's not even worth really talking about. It's just a little charge that they now charge you. So they go through like 4 different confirmations, and so you have to check each one of them before you place your bid. Then the second one here is buyer beware, all property sold as is. Bidders are responsible for conducting their own research as to the property being sold, location, or condition, the conditions of any structures or fixtures thereon, its marketability, potential uses, zoning issues, or whether any potential liens or other defects in title may exist. Neither the clerk nor real auction make any representations or warranties and assumes no liabilities to bidders regarding the marketability of title to properties offered. So you got to make sure that you go ahead and confirm each one of these. Confirmation number 3, I acknowledge the clerk does not assume any responsibility or liability for the contents of any on-site or external web page linked through the service, any person or entities that relies on any information, blah, blah, blah. Number 4 is I understand that if I am the successful bidder, the tax deed I purchase will be issued in the name of the person or the entity I determine, and it is my responsibility to ensure that I take title to the property in the manner appropriate for me. So that means they're not going to be giving you advice on whether you take title in an LLC or in a corporation or in a trust. It also says, I understand that the clerk offers no guidance on how a successful bidder should take title to property sold at the tax deed sale. So all these are warnings that they give you, and you have to acknowledge all of them because they've had problems in the past where people have bid and just wanted to blame the clerk for their errors. It is buyer beware. It is up to you. Do your own homework and your own due diligence. So each time you go to put a bid, you're going to see these warnings pop up. Depending on the county, but they're all pretty much the same warning, and you just have to confirm each one. So if you decide to put in a bid at the last minute, make sure you have all these warnings already confirmed, and it is not like 1 second left and you are trying to click through these warnings. So when you go place a bid, it takes a moment to place the bid. So be very careful when you're doing it. Now, this property here that I was putting a bid on for has an interesting story. Oh my gosh. And it was going to be a profit of $70-something thousand. We were actually negotiating to buy it from the owner before the sale. This one right here that you're seeing up on the screen. And we ended up having to bid on it on the Monday of the auction. So the owner had agreed to sell it to us for substantially less than market value. So this was an overseas owner. They were in a different country. So I had to use another investor friend of mine who is a native of that country that speaks that language fluently. And then we're going to do a remote notary. But turns out the seller was advanced in age and could not even figure out how to open the cell phone camera on his phone. So we could not even do a remote notarization because they have to verify who he is. He's got to open up his phone so he can do biometrics and all this other stuff. It was too late for us to try and fly over there or use an intermediary because it was basically the Friday and the sale was going to be on Monday. and they're 6 hours ahead. So there was no way we were going to be able to do any of this. The actual seller actually was in France. And boy, would I have loved, because that's one of my favorite countries to visit. I would have loved to just jump on a plane. And in hindsight, I wish I had just jumped on a plane and went over there. It was between him and his ex-wife, and he was probably the hardest one to get the mobile signing, so it never got done. And this poor couple ended up losing their property at the auction because it doesn't make sense for us to go ahead and pay the auction and pay the taxes, and we don't have any paperwork. We don't have a deed. We don't have anything for the property. So we weren't willing to take that risk. And then they would be like, thank you very much for paying our taxes. But this was the property here. It is approximately a 1/4 acre in Port St. Lucie. And the properties in Port St. Lucie, the vacant lots, they sell for about, 85. They were selling for $95,000, but they sell for about $85,000. And we were literally going to be able to pick it up for pennies on a dollar. However, our friend overseas is over 90 years old and could not figure out how to work his smartphone. I guess the only thing that he really does is just dial out to talk to people and answer the phone. And so just really wasn't motivated to do that. However, he said that he was going to have his son look into it next week, which we kept telling him, you can't. The sale is like in 3 days. So we just blew like $70-something thousand profit. So, however, we're going to continue and work and help them with the overage on this end. But wish we could have done this deal and bought this property before the auction. So our thing was we were trying to buy it from them before the auction. Once we had the transaction secured and they signed the deeds, we were going to pay the taxes and then turn around and sell the property. But not everything goes our way sometimes when we're trying to buy these properties. So this was a really big disappointment. And of course, about $500 in overseas phone calls later, we don't have a deal. But we are working with them to do the overage. Which will be a good substantial overage, but not as good as it would have been if we bought the property. So anyway, when you go to bid in these auctions, just make sure you're aware of these different little screenshots that come up. And oh, by the way, I did bid on the property on the online auction, but it went way above the number I was willing to pay for it. I think it sold for about $62,300 or 60-something thousand. So that was more than what we wanted to pay for it. But it is in line with what the prices are going for out there. So that was no surprise. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Don't forget to follow me on my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And be sure to give us a thumbs up and like these videos. Have a good one. Happy investing.